we open up chicken butchery to members of Abundance Plus. Anybody can apply to come. Also, this year we filmed a TV show called Elevated. We filmed all 4 episodes helping the premise is we go and help 4 local farms. We basically implement permaculture design, help them, give them a boost, give them an elevation, and we take volunteers from Abundance Plus. So, you know, it's that, how does Abundance Plus stand out from Netflix? I mean, how are we going to compete? Well, we're going to compete through community. Okay, it's going to be a nichified community where you can actually get in and interact with the content, not just by commenting, but actually participate.
How do you guys balance your time between now you have the business and the farm and the kids?
Yeah, how do we balance our time? The quick answer is to that will set you at ease is we don't. There's no quick balance to it. And if you did get me started on the productivity question, which I really love to talk about. So one way that we balance things is we compartmentalize things. So you only have so much time in the day. You probably, many of you go off to work a 9-to-5 type of situation. And hopefully you're being the most productive you can be at work, earning the most you can for the amount of effort. And then you might have an hour a day after work and a full day on the weekend. You have to make sure you're doing the best stuff, the most effective stuff. So how do we balance all? First, we have from this amount of time to this amount of time to do chores. Okay, so whatever it is. For us, it's the morning for lunch. And we better be, once we get done with the chores, then we have X amount, sometimes it takes us the whole time because we have problems. But if we get done with chores, we have X amount of time to do a project. So it better be the most important project we could be doing. There's 100 things we would like to be doing. But we've got to identify, so you have this list of everything you want to do. You got to look at that list and then prioritize it. So if you only have 10 hours a week, I ought to write a book called The 10-Hour Homestead, because you can do it. If you only have 10 hours a week, 1 hour a day, half a day on the weekend, you better be growing meat chickens, layer chickens, and a garden. And you're going to get, in the growing season, 80% of your food. So you're going to get the most bang for your buck. So compartmentalize. So then you're the most, you've done your morning chores, now you're the most effective at work. You have the best job, you have the best position there. And then in the evening, you do the most productive things as a family. But one thing is multi-stacking functions and stuff like that is we're not just out there milking a cow. I'm out there on a date with Lily, and we happen to be milking a cow. See? So we have two things at once. I do see a lot of people getting really busy, even in the homeschool space. I mean, why did you pull your kids out of school and go to homeschool? You're just going to keep them just as busy or busier. So it's okay. You've opted out of growing food, or you've opted out of food grid. A lot of people, we're talking about, I love the power grid. It's cool to get off the grid, right? But I've gotten off the food grid. One, because that was our most expensive bill. So you question the food grid. Don't be afraid to now question the medical grid, the school grid, the political grid, the religious grid. Dare, because what's the worst going to happen when you begin to question things? You're going to find the real truth and be more happier and productive, or you're going to affirm what you have already experienced. So that's like with us on the Great American Farm Center. We grew up on this farm. And we had to figure out if it was going to be our own. Just like if you were grown up in a religion, at some point you have to figure out if that's your own. So you have to start asking questions. And we asked questions about this land, and then we traveled and figured out this is where we want to be. So then it's implanted deeper and better in your heart. So I don't know how I got from how do we balance things to that, but the short answer is compartmentalizing, prioritizing, and at the end of the day, you can add anything you want to this. You just have to somehow find peace in not getting it all done. Because if you chances are, if you have a list of 10 things and you do the 2 most powerful bang for your buck, and that's all you get done, it's called the 80-20 rule. You do the 2 things, chances are you've gotten 80% of your results. and those two things in homesteading are meat chickens and gardens. So if you can only do two things, do those things. You can do three, do layer chickens because it's an easy crossover. Like a meat chicken, look it up, guys. You can grow, if you get 100 chickens and they all make it, you're gonna have 400 pounds of meat in your freezer in just 2 months. That's ludicrous feat. A steer would take you 2 years to get to that. It would take 2 pigs 10 months to get to that. And everybody likes chicken. So anyway.
I would say also, like just having low expectations too, like not expecting to be, like have everything in the beginning and then like just not, like Justin and I didn't have for so long, you know, all of this, like the pole barn and all of those things. So I think just like having low expectations about like what you can actually get done. Like you guys too, and you have 2 very young children, you know, you have to be like, okay, maybe this is my season to support other farms so that I can like really put into my children while they're, and myself, because you're gonna be really tired with having a 1-year-old and a newborn.
I asked them on camera, what are they growing? And they said chitlins.
That's what it is. I mean, at this point, like, you know, you're growing, like, you know, so many times I feel bad because, like, I don't go out on the farm like I used to. But then I'm like, no, Henry is my first priority. And, like, letting him get the sleep he needs. And he likes to lay in bed in the mornings. Like, he has already gotten the art of resting down. Because he wakes up and then he wants to snuggle for 40 minutes. Every morning.
And nobody else was like that. Everybody else
none of my other children did that. So it's been very interesting that like, I'm like ready to get up and get going. And what I've been doing is I get up earlier and try to get some things done. And then he'll wake up, which is so adorable. Now he wakes up and he'll like call for me if I'm not in the room. And then if I am in the room, he sat up the other morning and he was like, morning. But he's the priority right now. You know, not me getting out early and like getting stuff done on the farm. It's making sure that his love tank is filled, and eventually they do independently play. But sometimes they just need that like extra attention. And so I think that's important, like just to like take the pressure off of yourselves. Right now, you guys have got to prioritize your health and your children.
And you got little kids, so it's meat chickens. And, you know, meat chickens aren't going to run over anybody.
Right.
And a garden. And you're going to plant or get 25% more meat chickens than you need, 25% more garden than you need. And if your kid steps on the plant, you don't have leftovers. You could give it away or whatever.
Yeah.
There's enough parents here who maybe kids have grown. I'm at the stage now, we're blessed because we have a 15-year-old, and so now we see how fast that goes. It started driving. You've heard people tell you it goes by fast. But we also have a 2-year-old that now we can more deeply appreciate because we know how quickly it goes. We're actually looking at next year and maybe not going and speaking at events. So there are other things even outside of homesteading that you could cut back and may need to cut back. That's what I'm saying with all this extracurricular activity. Instead of putting the girl in ballerina lessons and the guy in soccer and Boy Scouts and all these things are good, but then everybody's going all these different ways. Why don't you once a week? We started our own soccer league here at the hall. It's like once a week, adults, I don't care, adults and kids can come and we play soccer.
Nice.
Okay? One thing Rebecca and I did very early on, not knowing what to grow, you want to grow all these different things. We looked at our receipts at the grocery store and said, what are we buying? And that will tell you where your heart's at. Where your money is, there your heart is. So see where your money is going. It's like imagine your money, got a string around it, wrapped to your heart. Wherever that money's going, that's where your heart is. So if you look at your receipt, for us, it was in meat. Right, that was the big, they even categorize it on these receipts. It'll say dairy, it'll say meat, it'll say fruit or vegetables, it'll say dry goods, And if your Oreos are your biggest bill, forget us. You might need to throw those out. But, mac and cheese and Oreos are a little difficult to grow on the farm. But Whole Foods. So our big bill, and that was the thing too. You know, when you get into homestead, like off grid is like this big popular thing. If you go, I asked ChatGPT the other day, what's popular in homesteading right now? It was do it yourself. Gardening or chicken. It was off grid. I'm like, what's the deal? But when we looked at it, you know, we were spending what, $150 a month on electricity?
Yeah.
But over $1,000 a month on meat? Yeah. Let's get off the food grid first. Yeah. So then that will help you and tell you. And honey was very fractional.
Yeah, it was only like, our honey needs have gone up considerably now that my kids are older and they're drinking a lot of tea. Get Lily to get you the one.
And right now.
So we go through like probably $600 or $700 worth of honey now. We used to not go through that much. So maybe we do need to look at these, Justin.
Well, things change. You know, I had duck at a restaurant, a fancy restaurant. I was like, Rebecca, we got to grow some duck. Yeah. And then just this year, we're like, we grew duck for a couple of years. It was great. And then we're like, hey, Rebecca, do you feel like eating? I'm like, me too. We're not growing duck. You know, I'm trying to. I'm kind of over turkey, but she still wants some turkeys. Yes, dear, let's get some turkey.
Okay, I wanted to do 4 turkeys. Somehow we ended up with 15. I don't know why we have 15 turkeys in our freezer, but we do.
So you just reassess every year. And we came this close to getting bees. This year, we lined up a coach. She was going to come down and set it up. We're going to create some content around it. It's going to be this great thing. Because she sold us on it because she said, it's not about the honey, it's about
the pastures.
Pollinating the pastures to make better pasture for the cows. She sold me. Because our priority is the cows.
Oh, really?
And we were lining up, and they were like, wait a minute. We haven't finished putting in our water line. We don't want to put the pigs in the greenhouse. We want to put the pigs in a pig port.
We have some other things we
have. Like, putting in a water line is not sexy. You know how hard it is to make putting in a water line interesting for a YouTube video again and again and again.
For like weeks on end.
It's not sexy. Getting bees is sexy. It's fun and entertaining and interesting.
Everybody wants
You've got to have the discipline and say, we're going to wait on the sheep and the llama and the Sasquatch. And we're going to smoothify and make what we have better and more productive.
Yeah.
This is just me thinking a lot and brainstorming with you guys, but we did just shoot this show called Elevated, and we went to local homesteaders and we helped them. All we did was come in for a day or two, and we really got a lot of work done in those 2 days. And I was talking to you about how do we make Abundance Plus come alive and stand out from that Netflix. It's like, well, you can get on their comment, you could come and volunteer, go to these places. But then, what if Elevated was then, you know, eventually. What we did with the showing was we had members host, and we had 77 hosts across the country. And then I invited the broader YouTube audience, and hundreds, if not thousands of people got together across the country. And so, you know, maybe that's something, because, you know, we've connected people here from, and we're trying, that's our heart, is to try to figure out how to connect people. You came here to meet us, meet Beefcake, and Stud Muffin, but now you hopefully come away with friends. You can't take Stud Muffin. So our heart is that I don't see why we couldn't maybe connect people and they elevate themselves, and so to speak. So I know there's three different sets from Virginia. So wouldn't that be cool if y'all got together and had a little and then took turns? Everybody had a work day. You know what I'm saying? And you can really get a lot of annoying stuff done. Make it a lot less annoying when 2 or 3 people can. The Smoyers came yesterday, and for 2 hours we cleaned out this barn.
We would not be sitting here as well rested.
No.
We would have been up till 10 o'clock last night, still cleaning
Losing
out.
our religion.
It was a mess.
Weeping and gnashing of teeth. And a big mess this morning.
We ate dinner at a normal time.
Yeah.
Thanks to you guys. What are your favorite books from a health perspective? Oh gosh. Well, it's easier said. Well, so I really like Stephen Buhner's. It's like the home encyclopedia of antivirals and antibiotics. But I feel like that book is like, I don't think it's in print anymore. So I feel like it got really expensive.
You like
so
be your own doctor.
I would say to look at just Stephen Buhner's. He has an antiviral and an antibiotic book that's separate. So you could get those two, and they'd probably be way cheaper. Because I feel like someone sent it to me and was like, is this the book? Because it was like $85, which I did not spend $85 on that book. I think it was like $30 when I bought it a long time ago. But I like Rachel Weaver, Be Your Own Doctor, Be Your Own Pediatrician. And what I like about her books is that she will say, like, if this is the symptom, you need to take them to the emergency room. If it's this, then this is what you watch for, and then you take them to the emergency. So she kind of like gives you a guide as far as like, you can treat this at home, but if it gets to here, you need to get help, you know? So I appreciate that she doesn't like, because, you know, I mean, I think that's where every mom is like, you know, is it gone too far, or do I need to seek help? You know, is it beyond my scope type thing? And so I think I really appreciate her for that. You know, and then she has just stories, like it's a lot of stories of people and what they experienced, and how they treated it or whatever. Like her daughter had appendicitis, she treated it at home, but then ended up taking her in because she got nervous and was like, oh, I don't know, and by the time they took the daughter's appendix out, the doctor's like, that is the healthiest appendix I ever took out.
Oh my.
But they had already, you know, started the process on her. So it was kind of like, you know, and she was like, you know, learn from me. You gotta let it work for like 4 or 5 hours. Of course, then she like goes on to say like, if this is present or that's present, then you need to take them and it's, you know, too far gone or whatever. So, but those are probably the books that I look at the most.
How do you spell the first author's name?
Buhner, Buhner, Stephen. He was a great herbalist. He recently passed away. But he has a lot of books. So he had a Lyme book that he has a lot of Lyme information and lots of good. But I've treated Justin many times with the antibiotics in his book, and we didn't need to actually use antibiotics. So.
If you have to be on antibiotics for something, do you yourself have a particular protocol you do afterwards to recover from the antibiotics?
I haven't used this, but I've read that golden thread it's a berberine, is a really good, so it's called Golden Thread Supreme, and is the specific supplement that I have read is good for taking after antibiotics, but it's a berberine supplement.
Thank you.
And then, of course, like probiotics and stuff like that.
Okay, if there's nothing more, we'll be happy to take pictures, sign, whatever we need to do.